This topic is geography. The first word is aftershock. Aftershock. This is a countable noun. It has a couple of meanings. It can mean a small earthquake that follows a larger one, and it can mean an effect of a shocking or traumatic event. Some example sentences. More damage occurred during the first aftershock. The earthquake was followed by a series of aftershocks. The aftershocks of the war could be felt across the entire continent. And now we have archipelago. Archipelago. This is a countable noun. An archipelago is a group of small islands that are close together. The Hawaiian Islands are an archipelago. The Japanese archipelago has 4 main islands, but it also includes several thousand smaller islands. This word is bedrock. Bedrock. It's an uncountable noun. It can mean the hard rock in the ground below soil or sand, and it can mean a strong base or the main ideas and principles that something is based on. So it has a physical meaning and a figurative meaning. In the picture there, you can see some exposed bedrock. Here are some collocations. You can say to hit bedrock or to reach bedrock. That's with the physical meaning. If you use a verb like hit or reach, by the way, you don't need the. You don't say to hit the bedrock. You just say to hit bedrock. We also have the bedrock of something, and that's with the figurative meaning. Some examples. They kept digging until they hit bedrock. Nowadays, people would probably be drilling, so you could say they drilled until they reached bedrock or until they hit bedrock. The bedrock in this area is mainly limestone. Limestone is a type of rock. It is often argued that family is the bedrock of society. Free speech and the right to vote form the bedrock of any democracy. And next we have crust. Crust. This can be countable or uncountable. It has a couple of meanings. The first one is the hard outer layer of bread. Do you see the darker parts of the bread there? That is the crust. It's the part on the outside. It can also mean a hard outer layer or covering of something. So it also has a more general meaning. It's the word that we use to talk about the outer layer of the earth. Let's see the word family. There is also a verb, to crust, and that means to form a hard layer or to cover something with a hard layer. And there's also the adjective crusted, and that means having a hard layer. In the little picture there, you can see the Earth's crust. Some examples. When he makes sandwiches for his daughter, he cuts off the crusts. When I was little, I didn't like the crusts on bread either, but now I think it's a bit wasteful if you don't eat the crusts. Some people think that the crust is the best part of bread. Remember, crust can be countable or uncountable. George only eats thin crust pizza. Oxygen is the most common element in the Earth's crust. The next word is dense. Dense. Dense is an adjective. Has a couple of meanings. Firstly, we have containing a lot of people, things, plants, etc. that are very close together. And secondly, difficult to see through. The noun is density. Density. That's the quality of being dense. And the adverb is densely. Densely. In the picture there, you can see a dense forest. Now here we have some collocations, quite a few. Dense forest, dense jungle, dense undergrowth. If you don't know the word undergrowth, it means plants and bushes that grow close together under trees. It's uncountable. Next we have a dense crowd, a dense population, dense fog, and dense smoke. The city has a very dense population, and most people live in apartment blocks. The explorers made their way through dense jungle with no map. I could barely see through the dense smog. The next word is erupt. Erupt. This is a verb. It has a few meanings. Number one, of a volcano, to explode, sending rock, fire, ash, etc. into the sky. Number two, of conflict, to start suddenly. Number three, of emotions, to suddenly express something, usually loudly. Let's see the word family. First we have eruption, which is the noun. It's the action or the event. And then we have the adjective eruptive, and that means relating to an eruption. In the picture there, you can see a volcano erupting. A usage tip. It is sometimes followed by into. For example, he looks sad, but all of a sudden he erupted into laughter. Some more examples. When Mount Vesuvius erupted, it destroyed the city of Pompeii. Fighting erupted in the south after a border dispute. The crowd erupted in applause when the star player scored a goal. The next word is globe. Globe. It can be a countable noun or a singular noun. It has a few meanings. Number one, the world. To travel around the globe just means to travel around the world. That's when it's a singular noun. Number two, a round object with a map of the earth on it. This is a globe. Number three, a spherical object. So something shaped like a ball. Spherical, in case you don't know the word, comes from the word sphere. Let's see the word family. First we have the adjective global, then the adverb globally, the verb to globalize. If something like a business globalizes, it starts operating in various parts of the world. And finally, the noun globalization. Globalization is the process of many different countries becoming more connected. Let's see some examples. The concert was broadcast all around the globe. Globes are usually more accurate than flat maps. Frank gave me a snow globe for Christmas. A snow globe is the object that you can see in the picture there. Okay, the next one is hot spring. Hot spring. This is a countable noun. A hot spring is a place where hot water comes up naturally from the ground. We visited a hot spring while we were in Iceland. Hot springs are common in places with lots of volcanic activity. Now we have landform. You might have noticed that I didn't say landform. When we say it naturally, we almost don't pronounce the D. We say landform. This is a countable noun. It means a natural or artificial shape on the Earth's surface, such as a mountain, hill, valley, or peninsula. You can see some interesting landforms in that picture. It's hard to believe that this beautiful lake is a man-made landform. We saw some interesting landforms along Ireland's coastline. Now we have landlocked. Landlocked. Again, we don't pronounce the D in the middle very clearly. Landlocked. This is an adjective. It means surrounded by the land of other countries or states and having no coast on a sea or ocean. Switzerland is landlocked. You can see it in the middle of the map there. Kazakhstan is the world's largest landlocked country. It touches the Caspian Sea, but it is an inland sea, and it's sometimes considered a lake. The United States has many landlocked states, including Nebraska, Colorado, and Kansas. This word is landslide. Landslide. It's a countable noun. It has a couple of meanings. Number one, a sudden fall of a mass of earth or rocks down a slope. So a hill, mountain, cliff, etc. A slope is an area of ground where one end is higher than the other. So it's something like that. Number two, a winning of an election in which one person or party gets a lot more votes than the others. In the picture there, you can see a small landslide with the first meaning. A landslide can be small like that, but it can also be very big and serious. The massive landslide destroyed several houses and blocked the main road for hours. Everyone was surprised when the party won by a landslide. Now we have limestone. Limestone. This is an uncountable noun. Limestone is a sedimentary rock that is white and commonly used in building and cement. Sedimentary means made from solid substances that settle at the bottom of lakes, rivers, etc. In the picture there, you can see some limestone cliffs. Here's a usage tip. Do not confuse this with lime scale. Lime scale. In some languages, the same word is used for both. They both contain calcium carbonate, which is CaCO3. Yes, I had to look that up. I don't know things like that normally. But limescale is a hard white deposit that forms on the inside of pipes, kettles, etc. In the picture there, you can see some limescale. Limestone was one of the main building materials used in the construction of the Empire State Building. Now we have mountain range. Mountain range. This is a countable noun. It means a group or line of mountains or hills. In the picture there, you can see a mountain range. The Alps are a large mountain range in Europe which cover over 80,000 square miles. This word is mudslide. Mudslide. It's a countable noun. A mudslide is a sudden fall of a large amount of mud down a slope. Remember, a slope is an area of ground where one end is higher than the other. A mudslide is similar to a landslide. Let's look at that picture. This mudslide has destroyed part of this house. Many buildings were destroyed in the mudslide and some people were injured, but fortunately there were no fatalities. In other words, nobody died. Next we have peat. Peat. This is an uncountable noun. Peat is a black or brown substance that looks like soil and has been formed by decaying plants under the surface of the ground. It can be burned as fuel or mixed with soil to help plants grow. The adjective is peaty. In the picture there you can see a peat bog. A bog is a bit like a swamp. Here are a few collocations. We have peat bog, a peat bog, peat extraction, and a peat fire. So that's if you use peat as fuel to create a fire. In some countries, peat is still burned to produce heat and electricity. Peat fires are sometimes used in the production of whiskey. This type of whiskey is called peated whiskey, and it has a smoky flavor. Next we have plain. Plain. This is a countable noun. A plain is a large area of flat land that has little or no trees. The adjective is plain. The adjective has several meanings, but it usually means not decorated or not complicated. Here are a couple of examples. There is an extensive coastal plain just outside of the town. The Great Plains is a large area of land in North America which lies east of the Rocky Mountains. Next we have plateau. Plateau. This is a countable noun. It has a couple of meanings. It can mean a large flat area of land that is higher than the land surrounding it. That's what you can see in the picture there. And it can mean a period of little or no change after there has been growth or progress. The verb is plateau. If something increases and then stays the same, it is plateauing. They decided to walk up to the plateau to get a better view. Many people quickly reach a plateau when they are learning a language. This word is reservoir. Reservoir. It's a countable noun, meaning number one, a lake, usually an artificial one, where water is stored. Number two, a place in a machine or engine where water is stored. In the picture there, you can see the dam of a reservoir. So the dam is like the big wall. The townspeople are concerned because the water level in the reservoir is quite low at the moment. Frank tried to make coffee, but it didn't work because the reservoir in the machine was empty. And now we have sea level. Sea level. This is a countable and uncountable noun. It means the average height of the sea. It is used as the basis for measuring the heights and depths of other things. For example, mountains. You'll see in the examples. Here are a few collocations. First we have above sea level, and then below sea level, and finally rising sea levels. In discussions about climate change, you'll often hear people say rising sea levels. Mount Kilimanjaro is 19,341 feet above sea level. That's about 5,900 meters. New Orleans is 7 feet below sea level. That's about 2 meters. One of the major causes of rising sea levels is the melting of ice sheets and glaciers. Now we have shallow. Shallow. This is an adjective. Shallow means with only a short distance from the top to the bottom. It is the opposite of deep. The adverb is shallowly, and the noun is shallowness. So that's the quality of being shallow. The man is fishing in shallow water. When you're learning to swim, you should start in the shallow end of the pool. The water was clear and shallow, so it was easy to see the rocks and coral. This word is silt. Silt. It's an uncountable noun. Silt is sand, mud, etc. that is carried by flowing water and then settles somewhere, like at a bend or the mouth of a river. The mouth is where a river joins the sea. Let's see the word family. First we have the adjective silty, and then we have the phrasal verb silt up. To silt up means to block something with silt or to become blocked with silt. We discovered an old boat in the river that was covered in a thin layer of silt. The pipes near the river were blocked with silt. Now we have sparse. Sparse. It's an adjective. It means existing in small numbers or amounts and often spread over a large area. It is often used in contrast to dense. Let's see the word family. First we have the adverb sparsely, and then the noun sparseness. That's the quality of being sparse. Have a look at that picture. Trees here are sparse. Here are some collocations. First we have a sparse population, and then sparse vegetation. If you don't know the word vegetation, it's just another word for plants, but it is uncountable. Be careful, it doesn't mean vegetables. It means plants generally. The next one is a sparse beard. That means if someone has a beard that doesn't have lots of hairs in it. And finally, we have sparse information. That's when there's not much information about something. Some examples. The land there isn't quite desert, but it's very arid and vegetation is sparse. Arid means dry. I wanted to find out more, but unfortunately, information on the topic is sparse. This word is summit. Summit. It's a countable noun. It has a couple of meanings. Number one, the peak or highest point of a mountain or hill. Number 2, an important meeting or series of meetings between top-level officials, often government leaders. Here are a few collocations. These are all for the second definition, so a meeting or a series of meetings. You can say to attend a summit, to hold a summit, to host a summit, or to organize a summit. A couple of examples. When they were in Switzerland, they saw the summit of the Matterhorn. That's the picture down there. European leaders are gathering in Brussels to attend an economic summit. And now we have time zone. Time zone. It's a countable noun. It means a region of the globe that follows one standard time. We generally say that the world has 24 time zones. Technically, there are more because some time zones are 30 minutes apart. Despite its large size, China only has one time zone. It's UTC plus 8. If you cross several time zones in a short space of time, you will probably suffer from jet lag. And the final word for this topic is vicinity. Vicinity. It can be a singular or uncountable noun. It can mean the area surrounding a particular place or the quality of being close. It's a synonym of proximity. Here's a little usage tip. It is often used in the phrase, in the vicinity of. For example, there is a park in the vicinity of the hospital. That just means there is a park not far from the hospital. Frank would like to live in this street because there are several bars in the vicinity. They chose to buy that house because of the vicinity of the beach. In other words, it was close to the beach.
Today I'm going to talk a little about the geography of the United States. If you travel around the globe, you won't find many countries that are as diverse as the US in terms of geography and landscapes. It's not surprising considering that it is such a large country with 6 time zones. The state that's furthest to the west is Hawaii. Hawaii is an archipelago, and it's the only US state in the tropics. There are many volcanoes there. Volcanoes are essentially openings in the Earth's crust that release ash, gas, steam, and lava. Lava is molten rock. The most active volcano is Kilauea. It erupted almost continuously between January 1983 and April 2018. Because there are so many volcanoes there, earthquakes are very common. Earthquakes are often followed by aftershocks. For example, in October 2021, an earthquake with a magnitude of 6.2 struck near the coast of the state's largest island. It was followed by at least 6 aftershocks in the vicinity, including one that had a magnitude of 4.3. Earthquakes and volcanic eruptions can sometimes trigger landslides and mudslides. The west coast of the US mainland is in itself very diverse. In California, there are some very hot and dry areas where the vegetation is sparse. These areas often experience droughts, so they need to take good care of their reservoirs. The coastline of California has some beautiful and interesting spots. For example, in some places you can see exposed bedrock when the tide is low. California also has some famous landforms, such as San Francisco Bay and Death Valley. Death Valley is often said to be the hottest place on Earth. It also has the point of lowest elevation in the United States, which is 282 feet below sea level. California also has some quite dense forests, especially heading north towards Oregon. The two longest mountain ranges in the US are the Rocky Mountains and the Appalachian Mountains. The Appalachians are on the east side of the country, and the Rockies are towards the west, but not as far west as California. The Rockies cross several landlocked states, including New Mexico, Colorado, and Wyoming. The highest mountain in the US isn't actually in either of these mountain ranges. The highest mountain is called Denali, and it's in Alaska. The summit is 20,310 feet above sea level. There are also many hot springs in Alaska, where you can quite comfortably go swimming even when the outdoor temperatures are very low. Just east of the Rocky Mountains are the Great Plains. A plain is a large area of flat land where there aren't many trees. There aren't really any mountains there, but there are some plateaus. In other words, areas of flat land that are higher than surrounding areas. There are many different types of rock in the United States. One of the most commonly mined rocks is limestone, and the state of Michigan has some of the largest limestone quarries in the world. The southern United States is well known for its bayous. Bayous are slow-moving streams or rivers, or marshy lakes or wetlands. They contain brackish water and are typically quite shallow. Because many of the bayous are very still, a lot contain large deposits of silt. Something that might surprise you is that the US also has peat bogs. Most people associate peat with northwestern Europe, but America has its peat bogs as well. Some of them contain remains of people who lived thousands of years ago, as well as ancient artifacts.